Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be doing a bit of buyer beware for the new Grand Theft Auto Online Import and Export DLC. So if you're unfamiliar with this series that I do on my channel after every update comes out, buyer beware is where I essentially give you guys warnings and things you need to know about some of the new content before you end up spending your millions of hard-earned dollars on this content. I look at some of the things that would bother me if I purchased this vehicle, and essentially I give you the heads up before you have to spend your cash. So we've got a lot to talk about today, so let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. All right, so we're kind of going to go in the order of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. There are some things I don't have to give you guys some buyer beware on. Obviously, this update is amazing. I'm having a ton of fun with it so far, and there's a lot of great things that go along with this update. One of the things I can't really issue all that many buyer bewares on are the 4 vehicles that are found on Legendary Motorsports and Benny's site. So that would be the new Tempesta supercar, the Penetrator supercar, and then the 2 Benny's vehicles, the Elegy, which turns into the Elegy Retro, and then the new bike, the Principe Diablos. Now, I'm not going to get all that much into the performance statistics of them. I know for a fact that the Tempesta is really, really good for its price. Obviously, we know it is not all that expensive, about 1.3 million, and its performance is really great, actually. And then you have the Penetrator, which is only 800,000, obviously a little bit more once you do customization and all that, and it's still got pretty good performance standards. So those 2 supercars are really nice. Obviously, if you love the look of them, absolutely go for them. One thing I can tell you is they have great customization, so that isn't something you have to worry about. I mean, I was shocked on my live stream when I saw the fact that these vehicles had an absolute ton of customization to them, which is obviously great. We know that people love the new Skyline. This one is absolutely incredible. The fact that it's a Benny's vehicle is super awesome, and the new bike has great customization as well. It's the first Benny's bike we've seen, so obviously that was kind of new for us, and Rockstar definitely didn't let us down there. Those vehicles are awesome. However, what we need to do now is move on to the bad, and the bad, in my opinion, is the overall cost of this update. It's safe to say that this is the most expensive DLC that Rockstar have ever added into the game, and that's something that I predicted. I know many other people predicted as well. Just with the content we have in the game right now, in order to get everything, it's roughly around $33 million. You heard me right. Just the vehicles and cars and offices and warehouse we have in the game right now, and clothing as well, $33 million. That is a ton of money, and we still have a lot of content that's on the way, too. We have what's ever coming out in Christmas. We have the hidden vehicles that are not yet in the game. So you've obviously got to anticipate that those are going to be multiple millions of dollars here. So even look forward to the fact that it could be over $40 million when this thing is all said and done if you want to get everything from this DLC. So that, in my opinion, is one of the most frightening things, is that it does seem tough to enjoy all this content. You are really going to have to pick and choose what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy, especially with this update. More than ever, people are going to be limited on their choices, and that's once again why I think the importance of this buyer beware video is so critical here. But let's move on to some more content. The first thing I want to talk about today are the warehouses. A lot of people have been asking me, what warehouse should I buy? Well, it doesn't really matter. In fact, I recommend you buy the least expensive warehouse because all of them are the same. On the inside, they're the exact same. They have the 3 same different templates that you can choose from. The only difference you're going to be paying for is location, and to be totally honest with you, all of them aren't really all that far from each other. Some are at the port of Los Santos, some are in East Los Santos, some are in the west, some are in the north and the south, but none are like scattered up in Palito Bay or Sandy Shores or Chumash or anywhere like that. So I would recommend going with the cheapest warehouse to save yourself the most amount of money here. Or you could go for the most expensive one if you think its location is in a better spot for you. But I just want to let you guys know that there's absolutely no differences between the warehouses other than the price that you see and the location it's in. I also want to give you guys a quick warning about the custom auto shop. So the garage in and of itself, I would recommend you guys go kind of slow on. I wouldn't necessarily go for all 20 floors of garages at once because that's pretty expensive. But a lot of people have been asking me, is there anything unique about the custom auto shop? And there is nothing unique about it. Now, there are some great features. You can modify Benny's vehicles in there as well as regular vehicles, so that's kind of cool, but it doesn't do anything different than those two auto shops are going to provide for you. The only thing you're really paying for here is convenience, and if you think that's worth it, then you should totally get it. It actually looks super cool. All the designs you can do, you can hang out with your friends in there, which I think is kind of neat. But as far as performance goes or modifications on the car, there is nothing unique or something that can only be done in this custom auto shop. Everything you see here can be done in the LSC or at Benny's. Now, let's move on to the meat of this buyer beware, and that has to do with the rare special vehicles that can be bought on Warstock's website. I knew we were going to be having to focus a lot on these vehicles, and a lot of them are really cool. I just have some big issues with a couple of them, and I'm going to point those out right now. So let's start with the Wastelander. So when I immediately saw this car, I was like, whoa, this has a lot of potential here. You know, I really like this. This is super neat. The fact that it can have multiple different people on the back is pretty cool. That way you can, you know, if you're getting chased by people, they can shoot at you. And it does have some pretty cool features, but there's two that stand out pretty glaringly to me that make this car very difficult to use. Number one, its functionality is worthless. You see that bed in the back? That's meant for hauling cars. Guess what that would be perfect for? Our import and export missions, where the objective is to not damage the vehicles as much as we can. That would be perfect for keeping vehicles safe and keeping them away from the dangers of the road. But of course, it's Rockstar and we cannot put those on the back. So unfortunately, nothing we can really do about there. And number two, this thing is a flip machine. If you run into another vehicle, you're going to basically hurtle over it, which will then in turn flip you. So this thing flips over constantly if you collide with other vehicles, which makes it a pain to drive consistently on the road. So the Wastelander is awesome. It's just got two glaring features that, you need to be aware about when you're driving. It flips and it can't sadly store cars. Now let's move on to the two Amphibious vehicles. I don't really have a buyer beware for either of these. I'm just going to talk about the pros and the cons so that if you're torn on which one to buy, you'll ultimately know. So let's start with the technical. Pros on the technical is it can obviously sit 3 people, which is nice compared to the Amphibious Blazers 1. So you're obviously getting 3 times the capacity right there, which is nice. It also has the mounted MG on the back, which another person has to obviously use, but it's a lot more firepower than the Blazer. However, it is bulky, wide, and slow, and it doesn't have a water-only mode, which might indicate why it's slow. So, you get a little bit more firepower in seats, but you're definitely not as mobile or agile, where when it comes to the Blazer, the person driving the vehicle has these mounted machine guns on the front that are a little hard to control, but at the same rate, you can still use them, which is kind of nice. And it also has a water-only mode by hitting right on the D-pad, where you can essentially go into this like super speed, and it allows you to almost turn it into like a jet ski, which is super nice. And if you time it really well, you can kind of like go in and out of the water really nicely. So those are the differences right there. If you're looking to hang out with friends, maybe go with the technical. If you're doing more solo stuff, definitely go with the Blazer. All right, let's talk about the ramp car and the Phantom Wedge. These two kind of go in the same category here because for me, they have the same issue, and that is they have the durability of a soft sponge. That's right. These things blow up super easily, especially for vehicles that boast to be able to either move things out of the way or move things above them. So I found that with the ramp car and the Phantom Wedge that it can either run into or move about 30 to 35 vehicles before it's destroyed. And you'll actually see this within the duration of the video right now that I'm just doing some very casual stuff with the ramp car here, and it is blown up by the end of my session with it, which is really unfortunate. What's the point of paying nearly $3 million, maybe over $3 million for a vehicle that can't hit more than 30 cars when its whole design is meant to ramp cars over and for the Phantom Wedge is to bulldoze through people at will? It just seems like these vehicles are a little expensive for them to have, like I said, the durability of a vehicle that really can't do much at all. So they're cool in the moment, but their longevity is super short. So I just want you guys to know about that in these vehicles, you need to be careful because you can use them, but they might break down on you in the middle of an important mission, and then you're screwed because the vehicles get pretty much reclaimed instantly, and then you'd have to either call them again or go back to the warehouse to get another one, and that can be really unfortunate. All right, moving on to the armored boxville. Probably the biggest issue I have with this one is in the name itself. It's boasted to be the armored version of the boxville, yet this thing doesn't have any more durability than the standard cars in the game. So another thing I don't like about this is in first person mode, it's really hard to see, but that's kind of besides the point because I knew for a fact that it had a lot of aesthetical things on the outside, like all the Mad Max style armor plating and whatnot. But is it really armor plating? You can shoot through the front windshield no problem, and you can blow this thing up with one sticky bomb or one RPG. So I don't know where this thing gets its name armored from. I mean, I know it's got the MG on the top, but when someone can just shoot an RPG or put a proximity mine down in the road and you're done for, what good is that MG on the top? So that's another issue I have with the boxville. I wish it was a little more beefy and bulkier to at least survive one explosion. Put it on the level with something like the Insurgent or something along those lines. At least make it worth it in that regard. And moving on to probably the two biggest vehicles of this update, the Ruiner 2000. There's a couple things that have me worried about the Ruiner 2000. Number one is obviously the price, $5.7 million, one of the most expensive vehicles we've ever seen. And is it worth it with the cool gadgets and tricks that it has? Now, it has a lot of great gadgets, obviously shooting the missiles, jumping, parachutes, some of the cool features like electrocuting people when they come up to it. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about is that it does not have an unlimited ammo capacity as far as its missiles. It can only hold 8, and it has to go back to the warehouse in order to get more of them. So this proclaimed Hydra killer doesn't really stand a chance against a Hydra that can just wait you out. For you to miss your 8 missile shots and then for them to kind of spring into action and then take you out while you're pretty much defenseless. And another thing about the Ruiner as well is it is not armor proof or explosive proof. One sticky bomb or RPG will take this thing out as well. So your $5 million Knight Rider is pretty much eliminated with one sticky bomb or RPG. So bottom line, I just wish for $5.7 million you got a little bit more beef with the gadgets that you have, but it still is a pretty unique car. And if you have the money and want to buy something that's really, really cool, the Knight Rider is certainly full of tricks that I know you will definitely enjoy. And really, last but not least, is the Rocket Voltic. I really don't have any buyer beware for this. You know what you're getting. You can't use it in races, so there's nothing like exploitive about it. It's basically just a coil Voltic with a rocket on the back, which is really fun and really enjoyable. Once again, the only thing you really need to worry about here is the price and just making sure that buying something like this won't break your wallet when it comes to affording everything else in the DLC. And as I mentioned, all the other things are really miscellaneous, like the clothing, the appearance changer is $100,000. I can't really give you guys a buyer beware for that. So that is pretty much everything from the import and export DLC for now. We obviously know there's going to be more content coming, and as that does release in the game, I'll keep you guys covered and up to date. But as far as everything that released yesterday on Tuesday, December 13th, that's pretty much it. Lots of cool stuff, but lots of expensive stuff as well. And there are a couple things that I just wish were changed on these pretty epic vehicles that I wanted you guys to be aware of. So hopefully you did learn a thing or two from this video. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. If you did go and enjoy this one though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. I will be streaming in a bit here on my channel, so please do stick around for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But of course, without the way guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.